Many people don't really understand what our role is as members of Congress, but the things that we do in Washington affect each and every one of you.
We work long hours because we live in a complex world, and you, the people, demand and deserve the best possible legislation from Congress to meet the challenges of today.
And it's not the monetary returns that you get for your job, it's the friends you make, the services you perform, and this, to me, is my reason for wanting to serve the people of my district, my state, and my country.
I look at my job this way. I work for you. You're my employer. I'm a servant of the people.
That's really what democracy is all about.
Hello, I'm Congressman Norman F. Lent of New York. This great room in the United States Capitol is now known as Statuary Hall. Many of the men now standing in marble or bronze on pedestals lining its walls were members of Congress who knew this room well during the half-century it served as House Chamber. John C. Calhoun, Henry Clay, and Daniel Webster sat as representatives here in their early careers. Sometimes I wonder if they realized in their times that they were strengthening and enlarging what would come to be the most representative and powerful legislative body the world would ever see. Members of Congress are businessmen, farmers, doctors, newspapermen, and ministers, and they hail from districts as diverse as their various walks of life.
There is an important part in our governmental institutions for the kind of sensitivity and compassion and understanding that women can bring. There are 16 women in Congress now out of 435. That's not nearly enough.
Sometimes our institutions are slow, but often their slowness is their salvation. Simply stated, it's better to know what you're doing before you do it.
Most citizens have the idea that their congressman spends all of his time engaged in eloquent debate on the floor of the House of Representatives. And while this is part of the job, it's only part of it. Each member of the House of Representatives represents a constituency of about 470,000 people. As their representative in Washington, a congressman is not only their voice on national legislation, but he must also try to help them when they have a problem with the federal government.
Good afternoon, Congressman Shirley's office. May I help you?
Jack, how are you?
Fine.
Welcome to Washington.
Trudy, would you bring in the file, please, on Mrs. Wyatt's pension problem?
I want to thank you and all the people that have been so gracious and generous in showing us our nation's capital.
Accountants deal in figures. Writers deal in words. But the job of a congressman is people, what they think, and how to translate their views into effective legislative action.
I know Iowa State University has been very involved in this sort of thing, and I think with your expertise, maybe we can have the necessary input here in Washington.
We're pretty proud of the fact, I guess, that we have about 11% of the cattle fed in the United States in Iowa, and about 24% of all hog production is in the state of Iowa. And when something nationally is affecting that production, that's a pretty significant impact on our economy.
First of all, I want to welcome all of you who are here today as delegates from your different high schools to Youth Input. The idea for this Youth Input was suggested to me right after the first time I was elected by a group of high school students who felt that I was representing the senior citizens, I was representing their parents, but with the 18-year-old vote, there was no way that the young people could really make their views known to their congressman. Another large part of a congressman's work is in the committees of the House, for it is here that much of the legislation is actually hammered out. The 21 standing committees of the House are an integral part of the legislative process. and each member of the Congress is assigned to at least one committee, and often two. Now, John, will you bring me up to date on our committee work?
Yes, we have two bills. We have the Northeast Railroad bill and the pending energy bill.
Yeah, it looks like you have about 15 witnesses scheduled.
It's going to be about 4 days, I think.
The committee is convened this morning for the purpose of hearing our very distinguished Secretary of the Interior, Roger Morton. Secretary Morton is also a favorite with the committee because he is a former colleague.
The thing that concerns me, and I think it concerns all of us, and I guess concerns the Congress, is how much fuel should we use? How much gasoline should we use? We're using 4 million gallons a day. How many miles should we drive? How many miles per gallon should a car go?
We talked to the U.S. Geological Survey, an organization that operates effectively within your department, and they'll give us estimates on what the reserves are on the Outer Continental Shelf. We got one just the other day saying that their estimate is that we've got 181 billion barrels of crude oil and 899 trillion cubic feet of gas. That's an estimate.
I've tried to get a divining rod, and I've ordered one from Sears Roebuck and from Montgomery Ward that would tell me where oil is and how much there is, and I haven't been able to get it.
We appreciate the opportunity to have these hearings and to have you present for them.
Thank you very much, Congressman McVeigh.
There are many other facets to the job of a congressman which make it one of the most rewarding and satisfying, and yet one of the most exhausting and consuming professions there is.
I would like to present to you this flag of the United States of America that is flown over the capital of our 50 states.
I can't tell you how delighted I am to serve as chairman this evening. I have long respected and admired Congresswoman Yvonne Brathwaite Burke.
From the nation's capital, Channel 21 presents Mainstream, The View from Washington, a series produced by the Long Island Congressional Delegation. Here is the congressman from the 4th District on Long Island, Congressman Norman Lent.
While many other jobs are Monday to Friday, 9 to 5, if a representative enjoys his work and wants to be re-elected every 2 years, he'd better be back in his home district on weekends when Congress is not in session, listening to his constituents. In essence, it's a full-time, 7-day-a-week occupation.
Congressman, I know you're busy, but if you have a few minutes, I'd like to discuss with you your weekend schedule. This is the Long Island Rehabilitation Association at the Human Resources Center. I think you already know about that one. This is the Boy Scout Eagle Award ceremony in Seaford. This one is the Nassau County Business Executives meeting. And tomorrow you know that you have the Baldwin Long Island Railroad Station stop at 6 o'clock in the morning until 8:30.
Good morning. How are you, young lady? Nice to see you. Hi. How do you do, sir? Very good, thank you. Good morning.
Morning.
Have a good day. How do you do, sir?
Gentlemen, how are you? I met you. I was in your office a few years ago.
Oh, yes.
Do you remember me?
I sure do. How's things been?
Very good.
Keep up the good work. Thank you. Good morning. How's business today?
Something every day.
Okay. Hey, this is a light train.
Booker, well, we got a New York Express behind me, and he gets a heavy load.
What about the transportation situation in the Long Island Railroad?
Well, I think you'll agree the railroad is running a little better now. The big thing is to try to keep the fares down. We have to learn to live with our resources, and I'm afraid we're going to have to change our way of life.
Let me ask you this. What do you feel is the most important problem we're facing now?
Well, the high cost of living, the very first thing, and of course our gasoline shortage.
It's the crime. We are afraid to go out at night.
Here, as far as I'm concerned, we have the unemployment problem, the tremendous galloping inflation we have.
Let me ask you just a question. What do you think is the most important problem we're facing now?
The energy crisis.
One of the biggest problems now is the runaway prices.
You buy a bottle of something and half of it's empty. So they're just robbing us.
Come here, I want to talk to you too. I know you.
Well, it's nice to meet you.
I voted
for you.
Well, thank you very much. And your name is?
Vera Barton.
Vera Barton. Well, it's very nice to see you.
How's your baby?
Just fine. Just wonderful.
Congressman, how many soybeans to an acre are in Iowa?
These cattle are pretty close to what I've got here, see, so I get a good idea. Well, I got a mixture of black, shorthorn, and Charolais all mixed together, but boy, they're really good calves.
By the 100 there, 26 and a half, it is 75. 26 and a half, now 75, and now 26, 75, and now 27. 27, and now 7 and a quarter, but again 7 and a quarter, now 7 and a half, and now 7, 75, and now 28. 30 and a half, and now 30, 75, and now 30, 75, and again 75, and now 30, 75, and now 30 and a half, and again 75, and again 30, 75, and again 30, 75. Sold them to you 30 and a half.
I think one of the main reasons why I was just wondering how you felt about this sort of thing.
I will bear in mind your suggestions as we get back into the Social Security field, and certainly I'm going to do my best to see to it that the senior citizens are looked after.
Some people have been joking that I've been the most productive member of Congress during the last year.
You have really a name here, and all they are feeling that you are one of the nicest men they have ever found really in this area.
Well, Sid, I really appreciate that. Proud. Because we got a lot of things here we can do. There's a lot of things that have to be done, and it's nice to have that feeling. Thank you
so much.
Have a nice day.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Take care of yourself.
Bye-bye.
Bye now.
Perhaps most importantly, while each of us represents unique constituencies, and we do have our differences of opinion on how to solve national problems, representatives have a great deal of respect for each other and each other's views. I realize that while I may not get 100% of what I'd like into every piece of legislation, the diversity of the nation requires that I compromise sometimes. And while compromise has acquired a somewhat tarnished name in the last several years, at least in some quarters, what it really represents is give and take, arriving at a consensus in order to enable meaningful legislation to be enacted that will help a sizable majority of our 210 million people.
There's a place in our legislative system for everyone. I was 29 when I first ran for Congress, and one of my colleagues was elected at the age of 25.
And I would suggest that every young man and young woman become involved. It doesn't make any difference whether you're from the urban area or a small community in which I live, such as Henderson, Iowa, with a population of 200. The main thing is to get involved.
You have a duty to know how your government works so that you can make sure that it is truly a government of the people and for the people.